Hi, everybody. This is Joanna from here. Early morning Ascension show. Gotta finish my coffee. How's everybody doing? Welcome, welcome, spirits and angels and galactic beings, cosmic beings, star seeds, rainbow children, hybrid children, crystalline children, every child in the universe. Thank you for coming and stopping by. Yay. Today we're going to talk about the rebuilding and the restructuring after things fall apart, those wonderful tower moments that shake us up and say, what do you want to create now? Because what you're doing is not working. And to embrace it, embrace that change, embrace those tower moments and all that they come in, because they do. Source will rip stuff away if it's not meant to be on your path, if it's not meant to be a part of the grandness that you're not believing in yourself or honoring of yourself. And those tower moments just come, and they want you to bathe and wake yourself up into who you know that you truly are. Bathe and wake yourself up and create something new. Know who you are. Know who you are. Bathe yourself anew, bathe yourself anew, bathe yourself anew with the knowingness, the belief, and the hope and the promise of what you came to explore as the soul that you are. The infusion of the soul that you are, the spirit of all that you are, the love of all that you are. You're a multidimensional, omnipresent, infinite, eternal being of light. And so remember that. What are you allowing to attract from the vibration that you carry about you? Your reality is about you, the love of you. And so today our topic is the seed and the song of promise. And I want you to feel into this within yourself as the omnipresent being. You're an infinite being. What is my song? What is my promise to myself? Just breathe and just be present with the song of the promise. Because as you allow yourself to open in this moment and just to receive, I'm giving myself permission to receive through this multidimensional etheric chamber that we always come within, the myriad of galactic communities that we're all working with right now. Because remember, they're seen through the eyes of you, your higher self, your soul, and all the beings that you come with, working on a myriad of different galactic, planetary, universal, collective programs, through the light programs, evolutionary programs for all life, through the holy creators, the divine mind of Mother and Father, all living within us, divine Mother and Father, the center of every atom, the Mother and the Father, consciousness that is source creator in all things. All consciousness is source creator. Source has the divine plan. Source knows what source is doing. And are we allowing ourselves to care for and be responsible for who we are as the promise of that? We are the epicenter of light, the Christ consciousness, the beautiful spiritual science that we are, the Merkabic energies and the stories that we all carry, the infinite innate. The innate is our infinite smart potential that we are a spirit, harmonizing our innate and waking it up, because we've been so asleep to the programs and the stories that we've been told of how limited we are, how we have no control over our health, and we're not as important and special as we are and we were born to be, and that our gifts are not necessarily working in a vibrational world that is built on such dogmatic limitations or structural limitations that don't see creative and emotional, intuitive and spiritual expression as important. But it's how we rebalance our collective. Absolutely is, without question. And that's why all of our medical fields and all of our socioeconomic programs and systems will be completely rewritten and shaken up. Because what was hidden and what was the fallacies of the stories that we were being told, and we just gave our power away to certain collectives and communities to say this is what's best for our bodies and this is how we control our health and our wellness and what is really going on in the collective and what isn't. None of that matters. What matters is you have the responsibility for the epicenter of you as a divine being of light. You are the divine being of light. And how do you feed the energy and bathe and cleanse yourself so that you are offered this beautiful palette of gifts and wellness and blessings for you to experience your world? And you're always blessed, always. Source provides you in equal measure, always. Is it your knowingness, mind and heart and body and spirit and soul? Those are the purity of intentions that you transmute any experience that you are moving through, any challenge that you are moving through, because you are far more powerful than what is going on in the stories and the energies that our shadow and the inner child and those soul fragments call into us to recognize, to accept as a part of the story. Not to be thrown off by it, but just accept it. It's a neutral experience. Pull the wisdoms that you need, because now you get to decide and choose who you are as this beautiful dynamic being of light, and the hope and the promise of something that you choose to co-create, and then you jet yourself forward anew, because that's your birthright. And we've forgotten ourselves because we just surrender and we succumb to these energies of lower vibrational stories that thinking that others have control over us or on us or of our destiny and what our potentials are and what our potentials are not, and how we succumb to, job outlines and who I am and who I'm not, and just allowing those definitions to be brought from others and other stories or lineage or Akash, whatever it is that we've allowed our power to be given away, because it's everywhere. Power that in the role that you give away, that how others see you and project to you, and you can just be at peace and send those projections back, and you can hold yourself in a higher light. Hold yourself in the light of who you are, knowing who you are and why you've come here. And when you do return to center, and you are that epitome of hope and promise and song-filled potentiation of who you are, because when you're with spirit, everything is a song, because you're opening to the gentle harmonic that is source. It's a loving, sweet song. And it's a crisscrossing of Vesica Pisces, where you feel the balance of your divine male, your divine feminine energies, and you're allowing yourself to receive constantly the spirit of spirit. The spirit of spirit is a constant evolutionary experience that is breath, that is the evolvement of your chakras, the evolvement of your body, your tissue, all that you are is spirit. Because you are now taking commandment and responsibility for your inner world, and your inner world is so important to how you create outer. It's unmistakable, and it just is. Who you are within is who you are without. How do you hold yourself? Do you succumb to the stories of others and the problematic energies of others and their soul contracts with you to project certain energies, so that you would question yourself and fall victim to false ideas of who you are, smaller ideas of who you are? Or will you rise up again and just say, I love myself even more, and I'm far more powerful than any story of hate or victimization? I've learned from those stories, and now I release them, and they'll be transmuted, and those energies will get to play with other energies that still want to play in that experience. But you get to see it, just like we said, in the mall, or the many mansions that you have, in the house, that the mansion that you live within, the consciousness of you, the soul of you. Those are all aspects of you, remember. They're not apart from you, it's you. Your soul is an infinite aspects of who you are. We're going to talk about also the great learnings and the wisdoms that we've had this week from our client, our client private appointments and our webinars and our classes this week. And we've had so many incredible unfoldings that are just dynamically that fifth dimensional gate of becoming. So we wanted to share those. Your soul is an infinite aspect. This is the top down look on who you are as a soul and a vibration, and why you feel so many different things at so many different times. You're an infinite number of bodies and forms and lifetime realities. In lifetime realities where you've played the negative perpetrator, where you've played the positive healer, where you've played this body, that form, that form. And in this now moment, as you become consciously aware, you're awakening to who you are as the soul, the profound energy of who you are. Your soul comes with a blueprint of experiences that you want to receive, that you want to explore and experience and express yourself as, through the soul growth of who you are. And you might call in, as all timelines are now, all bodies are now, all forms are now, the more you become awakened to your soul essence, you're calling in those certain vibrational experiences. They're just little packets of density, of remembrance of who you are as a soul. You are a part of source, micro, macro. So as the cell of source is being bathed with greater light, it's awakening and saying, I want to oscillate faster to vibrate with other cells of light, micro, macro. As too, so within your control and your mediation and your loving commandmentship of your cells, and your health and your wellness and your aging, or whatever you want to call your health. And your wellness of the physical, the mental, emotional, etheric, the science and spirit that you are, harmonizing as one. Take a breath, harmonizing as one. I'm both male, I'm both female. I am all bodies, I am all fragments, I am all aspects of me. I release all judgment. I release all pain and damage and shame and blame that I've given myself, and I've actually called those energies in to allow me the reflection of who I am in my allness. Because I've come in all bodies, I've come in all forms, and every moment of my Vesica Pisces, I get to now grow into what is and what I'm becoming, and I get to choose from this higher space of presence and peace and honoring and oneness and unity, and I get to release the chaos from being torn and being pulled from various vibrational stories that are no longer me. I'm going to reclaim all my power. I'm going to reclaim all my light. And I know that I'm going to be the sacred mother and the sacred father to myself. Show myself safety. You're always safe. Show myself creativity. You are so creative and infinitely creative. You're just touching the iceberg on how creative you are. Your I am presence. Who am I today? And what do I choose to stand in my I am presence and power? Today, I choose to explore myself as the most dynamic healer and teacher that I can be today, because I know that I make a difference. And when I step upon this earth, everything within me comes to life. And I want to share that. That I am presence is for sharing. That I am presence is for growing within and expanding within the allness. Your I am presence is just not this. Your I am presence is everything. And when you call in those fragment opportunities as the light is being bathed, it's going to call up that density that's ready to be acknowledged by you. Even the darkest aspects. Wow, that was a dark aspect of me that I played these games with, and now I see it's a part of my wholeness, and I'm going to accept it. I'm calling it in to see it in my collective of the different games that are being played in the collective. And I'm seeing it. So I'm going to call that in and say, that's a neutral story that I hold. And where do I sit with this vibrationally? And what am I feeling? And just reflect upon it. Just be still, and your teams will show you a thread of what's important for you, not to give your power away, to discern what story you want to vibrate within, and to choose from your spirited essence of who you are as source. This is how I choose to create, because I want a new human story. And it's much higher vibrational than this one. That's why we attract those stories in our email box or the YouTube experiences. And you get to feel into it within a few seconds. What does this feel for me? Does this feel really good? Does this feel like I'm aligning within my spirited center? Does this feel like I'm giving my power away to somebody else's story that's not even mine? There's an infinite number of earth perspectives, infinite number of experiences that your soul came to experience, and your guides are constantly trying to align you. Your higher self and your soul is constantly trying to align you by what feels good. And release, you absolutely know, especially those of you that are women and the leaders of your household, you know when something's going on in your house and it doesn't feel right. And no matter how many times you bring it forward to talk about, no matter how many times it's brought forward or, swept under the rug, not to be talked about or discussed, or to be ironed out and to be transmuted, then you absolutely know that it's a time to take ownership of your story and your life and your environment and move on to something new. Because if there's experiences in your environment that are not wanting to transmute what needs to be transmuted, then they're willing to sit in their karmic story for a while, and then you can choose what is in your highest and your best. Because your team's in your higher self, and all that you are is a vibrational being of light. Infinite experiences of your vibration of light are constantly showing you, this doesn't serve you, this doesn't serve you. And we're going to keep showing you these experiences. You have a field of light that constantly shows you what's going on in your field. So in your environment, just breathe within it. What's going on in your environment? Is it feeling positive or negative? Is it feeling like there's manipulations going on, stories being hidden, truths not coming forward, energies being withheld? Because those do, if not brought forward and transmuted through conversation and through honoring everyone's perspective, and that's what's going on in the collective political experience. If things are not being properly brought forward and placed on the table for transparency to all, the greater good of the all. Remember, micro macro. As we are the cells of Source Creator, micro macro, we are the cells of our collective socio-political, environmental, educational, medical, and so on. So what stories and who are we? If there's anything being placed under the rug, not to be dealt with, not to be transmuted, to be constantly deflected, to be constantly in obfuscation, where people are denying their part and their accountability, then their teams are absolutely showing you it's time to move on. Move on. You don't have to compromise your life by continually trying to suss out and work out and make it right for all others. You've learned the story, and you've known the tensions and the frictions of things that you continue to go around and be plagued on you to be kept being called back into the karmic stories that want to keep you smaller than and less than, because they want you a part of their story. It's comfortable for them, where they're garnering your light and they're manipulating and taking from you and taking advantage of you. And because you're just a person that wants to come forward and just be the light and be the caretaker and be the one that makes things easy and even for everybody. But that's not serving you and your path and your destiny of who you really are, and the promise that you wrote for yourself with Source Creator is the song of who you are. You and Source came together with the highest benevolent beings in your highest frequencies of who you are, and you made contracts to come forward with so many people that will trigger you to your soul's experiences through, we say weaknesses, but they're really not. They're just soul experiences you came here to expand and explore within. And in those expansive moments, the highest moments of those grays, and soaking for everything that's worse, to use your free will, to use your attunement with Source, as Source, to use your highest vibrational knowing of who you are and what you're worthy of. You know that you're worthy of a safe environment. You know that you're worthy to be spoken to with respect. And when you do have your intuitions brought forward from a divine feminine perspective that is valuable, that is honored, that your dreams and your inspirations really do matter, or as a divine masculine, that you're being honored in your environment, that you're being valued and treasured in your environment. And you can release all of those stories from the old, because remember, you're clearing from lineage and Akash timelines. But those little tiny fragments that come up and test us throughout the day, they keep testing you. Are you really, really ready to release those lower vibrational stories that held you in subjugation in any way, or conformity in any way? That your voice is not valued. You need to conform to a voice that is practical. No, I'm going to conform to my voice. Spirit has a voice for me. I am going to speak the voice of my spirit, and this is what I choose to align with. And so physically, mentally, emotionally, etherically, and spiritually, we are all leaving stories and coming into a new sense of self, being redirected of self, being self-directed of self, being self-empowered of self. And micro, macro, we are the experience we now are seeing fold out and bless out, because as we become more pure and sacred, and we become more enveloped in light, when we embody our radiance, when we embody and emulate this love of self, care for self, honoring of self, and never compromising lower vibrational stories that want to keep pulling us back and playing games of harm, then we stand in our power, and we understand the power, and we're not being touched by any energy that is less than magnificence. And those emulations of self-power, those emulations of self-ownership, ripple out to the collective. All is changed. Make no mistake about it. All is changed. All is changed. And as a vibrational healer and teacher and Christic experience, and I can sense the vibrations, and they give me visions and fragments of myself, because remember, you're able to see the all if you so choose. You have other versions of your dimensional perspective, and you're calling that into now so that you can see what's happening, so that you can mirror, well, how is this working? And that's what, as visionaries, we have those potentials to do. How is this change in our collective affecting the all? We don't necessarily need validation all the time, and so don't always seek it. Your validation is just following your excitement, being the excitement of you, and expressing the song and the promise that is you. Source, just as we have children on the planet, I remember, I still do it. when you're just such a proud mother, you just love your children so much, and you just lay there and you just adore them. You just look at them forever, and you're just in awe of their gorgeousness, and just for hours, just loving them, and just, I can't believe you're mine. You're just so beautiful. I just want to stare at you, and you just beget this awe into them. That's the promise that we took at a soul level. And then, of course, after time, we're still returning back to these vibrational stories that hold us in limitation, and the routines of daily life take us out of that spirit of awe, that promise of awe, that song of awe. But it's always there. So at what point are we going to be comfortable enough with who we are as spirit, as spiritual science, as the energies of spirit in motion, constantly evolving, constantly pressing out, constantly? And at what point are we going to say that vibrational story no longer serves me, not in any way, because I hold myself so high, and I choose not to entangle in such energies? There's still a part of the house that's me, and I honor it, and I accept it, and I call it in for the allowance of me. Just as if I accept everything as the all of Source and the oneness and the neutrality of Source. But I absolutely know that for the promise of my reality experience now, how I choose to experience and express myself now, is going to be a vibration where there is acceptance of all that I am. Not just the part of me where I do things for people, but the all of me, for my spiritual experience and expressions, for all that I am is intelligent and wise and a leader and a healer of profound proportions that I've only just tapped into. So what stories can you begin to create for yourself and recreate for yourself in the promise and the song of who you are, that you have with Source? And only you and Source know that. Nobody and nothing outside of you can direct you in that. They can remind you of those intuitive tugs and pulls that will always return you back to self, saying, if there's those around you that are telling you that what you're doing or what you're dreaming of or what you're being inspired of is not practical or not possible, then you absolutely know that all that you are being gifted and guided by is of the spiritual magnificence that you are meant to co-create. And then you know absolutely to release all of those stories and projections of lower vibrational lack, because those vibrational stories are being projected from those stories through which they are threaded in. You can still perceive it and you can still observe it, but it doesn't have to be threaded in your multidimensional experience to be a part of you. So set your vibrational standard every day. My vibrational standard, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I am the epicenter of light, and nothing, absolutely nothing will come into my field, my cells, my energy, my tissue that is not magnificent. It just won't. I get to state that. I have that right. I have the right to create a sacred environment, a sacred environment, the sacred cell of who I am as source. And I'm going to ripple this out because I absolutely do have my collective promise and collective song with source and my collective and Gaia and the galaxy and all the councils that I belong with. This is what we always talk about, the micro and the macro, that as you remember this sacred promise of who you are and you live within it, you live it and you breathe it as the devotion of you. I'm devoted to my happiness, to my wellness, to my health. And I'm not going to let vibrational stories that have been coming to test me about who I truly am and constantly realigning myself. And thank you for all the soul lessons. It's been really great. It's a part of the oneness. It's a part of the allness. But you get to choose to direct yourself into energies and stories that absolutely serve you and nourish you. And then show others that, yes, you can do it. I'm going to transition out of this story just like you can transition out of your story. And show that emulation and why so many experiences in our socioeconomic collective will go through changes, transitions. It must, unless you choose to cycle and continuing the 3D routine of constant, constant lower vibrational stories. And that's okay. There's no judgment. But you can create for yourself and the alignment for yourself from the higher self of you, the God of you, the Godhead of you, and all that is Gaia, the epicenter of you as light, and emulate this from your heart space, that nothing and no energy and no story can break within these bubbles of pure love of you. And state that and own it and honor it. That's your promise to you, your song to you. And it doesn't matter what stories or what energies are being projected or you're walking through as collective stories, you're not going to succumb to a vibration of self-doubt and self-deprecation that so many of us go through as the process of our story and learning how powerful we are to rise up again and rise up again for that self-love. Even if there's nobody in your environment that's showing you how valued you are, or treasured you are, or perfect you are. You create that for you and bathe yourself in the highest light. Bathe it every day, bathe it every day. And there's always an infinite pool of light that will be bathed to you because that is the pool of light for your soul. And your soul will feed it through the pillar of light, feed every chakra, feed every cell, feed every core remembrance of who your cells know you to be. Because your cells will pick up your direction, your mediation from the Akash, from your innate, your smart body. Feeding therefore the stories of your activations and your constant upgrading of the Merkaba. And you're connected in this spiritual science that is wisdom of the divine mind, all plans of the divine mind, the creator, mother, father, God, however you choose to call the creator, the one God. And all of those upgrades are now, because that's God. God's in all things. Source creator is in all things. As you awaken to who you are as this promise of light, as this promise of evolutionary story, you're breaking boundaries all over the place. And you get to choose. This is my vibrational story. And I will call in those that are a vibrational match. And I'm now becoming okay with being neutral with all these beautiful stories and no longer being tied to the victimization of it. And you just feel less defensive. And you can look that story in the face and say, it no longer triggers me anymore. I absolutely give you unconditional, full acceptance and forgiveness. Because it's a part of you. Those harsh stories, even if the worst tragedies, they're a part of you. And hanging on to that story only presents distance of it to say, no, that's not me, no matter how hard and painful it is. There is a part of you in that story that needs your acceptance. So you need to hold those stories and face those stories, work it all out, suss it all out, and say, what part can I own? And what part do I have now accountability to change? Because I absolutely want to be a promise on this planet for collective change. And I know if I'm living up to my promise as me, my promise of who I am as source, my song with source, because I get to sing my spirit every day. It's a constant, spirit is always constant moving. Your spirit, your soul, all that you are, constant evolving, constant moving. And every time you go through an upgrade and release something that doesn't serve you, any dysfunctional or negative harm that's going on in your environment that you've called in to acknowledge and recognize that a vibrational story that you're here to heal and transcend. When you release it, all two that you are embodied with, remember the Vesica Pisces, also gets that ripple of change, choosing anew, and all bodies of you in that now knowing get to choose their highest and best because you've let go of all the limitations that you were living within. So all other aspects of you come forward and celebrate. You say, thank you. Finally, you let go of that trauma and drama because now we're all living a bit happier. It's no different than what's going on in your family. When you have family members and there's one or two that are really going through a really profound awakening and the rest are sitting within dense karmic experiences, and you can feel the densities that those are calling and pulling back and the constant challenge and the transitions that are being done. And you're constantly living in your light, and you're constantly living in your story, and you're constantly living in this, in the love of who you are. Instead of the friction of the stories and them and us and them and the light and dark and all the prophecies and all the conspiracy theories and all those things that just continue to create separation, is honoring and owning all of it as a part of you and accepting and allowing it. And now coming to a higher resolve of how can we resolve this so that all souls are free to explore and experience and express themselves at the freedom and the liberation that all are meant to. Still having unconditional love for one another, to see one another's points of view, to see one another's and respect one another's spiritual progress, spiritual awakening, and spiritual victories, because every soul is a spirit, whether they choose to believe it or not. It's okay. They're having their awakening in their unique time. But every soul has the right and the free will to move about their exploration and their experience with Source in their unique way. They're a reflection of you. But release the cords and release the ties that say we must be conformed in an experience where the family looks like this, and nobody can go outside those roles and definitions. We can bring it to the table for a higher perspective and bathe it in light, because we are each the vessels of light through the heavens. We bring heaven to earth. We birth heaven. We birth the 5D reality we want to be a part of, that song. And we say, okay, well, now that we're all heading in different directions because we're all at different varying stages of spiritual evolution, our souls are working in different ways, our bodies are all working in different ways. We're now awakening to all these beautiful gifts that we're all uniquely different with. How can we still call ourselves as family, but allow the liberation to be what it is? And that is true sovereignty. That is being self-directed, self-honored, and rippling those magnified potentiations of self-leadership to all others. All in the family, all in the circle, all in the business group have the right to be their fullest and their highest of creative expression and exploration and experience. And so when that's allowed, you then come back to the table at agreed times and at agreed places, and you then get to express and explore yourselves in a new way, and you're each allowing the highest potentiation of light to feed to the all, as opposed to being separate stories of not being one with one another, because you all are. You are the perfect reflection of one another, just in varying degrees of readiness to awaken to it, readiness to accept it. And that's okay. It's meant to be that way. Not one person will have the same journey. They're not meant to. You cannot experience Source in the same way as someone else, and you're not meant to. No person's journey is meant to be the be-all and end-all, just as we've idolized Jesus. He was a master that was just as human as all of us. His intention was not to be idolized. It was to show and emulate and radiate the unconditional love and the majesty of who we are as spirit and science. That when we become fully in ourselves as spirit, we then start manifesting and using science to benefit and benevolently create greater good. And many of the timelines that we didn't do that is because our bodies were out of balance, and it was driven by ego, of fear and control and greed. And all of the conspiracy theories are showing us that. There's still ego that needs to be worked through, because ego should be surrendered to the spirit, and the spirit just creates for the greater good, choosing the wisest choices for the greater good, not to gain any access to greater money or to control market theories and to control medicine and vaccines and all of those things, whatever the stories are. When you're choosing from spirit, you're choosing for the greater good through spirited choice, through the downloads of the highest vibrational guidance and wisdoms for you. For you. Spirit is your guidance of self-direction, your guidance of self-evolution, your guidance of self-healing. Because you are a master, and you've come from many, many timelines where you were a shaman, where you were a medical practitioner, you were a witch. And those energies that you're meant to use within your life's transitions and challenges, those are exactly your gifts that you're here to share and emulate and radiate for others. And why we had this week in our sharings, we had so many really cool experiences and visions that I had with my clients and my classes. I was so happy. My guides were showing me, as we're stepping through these kind of gates of this fifth dimensional gateway, and my teams were showing me, okay, well, now that you've just had that really big release, because we're in a full moon eclipse energy. So those of you that so desire, that really want to soak within the promise of who you are in spirit, to really come to this beautiful self-evident and self-clarity experience of who you are, and really be directed in your reality experience, the abundance and the wellness and the joy and your participation in a new earth creational song, then allow yourself to place out any of the vibrational stories you've had yourself moving within, whether it be the last week, the last year, and do your life reflection and say, I'd really like to release this in this full moon eclipse. I'm really excited to release these energies, to come forward in a higher vibrational way, because I absolutely know I am. I found myself here. So that means that I'm ready to step up, and I'm ready to see myself in new ways and feel myself as spirit in new ways. Because as I want to, and as I seek it and intend it, the spiritual reality that is all God consciousness, all source, starts to reflect that to me. And then that's just an ever movement of higher vibrational entrainment, which is what they were showing me. That's how that health and that wellness of the mental body and the physical body and the etheric bodies, they all take place of the now constant oneness of your song now that ripples out like the notes and touching all else. And that's why that higher entrainment constantly wants you to keep reaching, and expressing and exploring yourself in new ways. That's evolution. Your bodies and your souls, the Ka body, the spiritual energies and essence of all that you are is infinite. Your spirit wants to infinitely create with you. But we need to allow ourselves the acknowledgement, yes, I am infinite. I'm going to carry this with great light, and I will carry this with great voice, because this is who I am meant to explore myself as. And it will be different tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And isn't that how it should be? Do we want our children to not be just happy and joyful about their potentiation in the world, and to know that there's infinite arrays of understandings of who they are to create themselves as and within, and then receive it without? Begin at infinite. Begin there. And then allow everything else within and without to change and converge with you, and allow it to be with you, that song that is ever driven by the internal embodiment of source, embodiment of the greater good, embodiment of your light. And so in this one experience, my teams were showing me that, wow, you've just done all that clearing, so now you're ready to see yourself, a little bit bigger and grander. What energies and what healing experiences do you have? And just as I was ready to close my eyes into reflection, before I even closed my eyes, I saw myself dematerialize just to the point of my lower legs, and then I materialized again. And I saw my ego, the ego kind of says, okay, you've never done this before, pull yourself back, and it controls your spiritual experiences at times, usually when we're going through Kundalini awakenings, DNA awakenings, and you have these incredible multidimensional experiences that take you into a new realm of the unknown. And we understand from our other videos, as a collective, we've been stuck within the bottleneck because we haven't understood ourselves as eternal, that all souls are always with us. There's never ever separation. And the transition is just meaning that their souls are requiring a different experience, and just might not be with you in this experience, but in a different way, in a different body. So just know that all spirit is everywhere. We will always be facing the unknown because we've never been here as a collective before. And your body will continually want your commandment and leadership of it to constantly press out and be the eternal light. And so in this remembrance, it's like, wow, that feels really cool. And then as my ego started to pull back and rematerialize, because my body was saying, okay, you can go so far, but I want you to come back to where it's safe. So just know that it's always the Vesica Pisces of, this is what you're leaving. And then as you're growing into a new stage, you will always have these little things that pop up to test you. Are you ready to let that belief go? Did you release your victimization story? Did you release your lack of abundance story? Did you release your story that your creative abilities are not really valid? What stories are you creating to say, yes, I'm ready to release it? And I will show you time and time again, I'm honoring me. And I stand within who I am, and I will speak it with pride and with honor and with grace, because that's how I choose to emulate my spirit. I have my spirit's back. I want to honor thy spirit, honor thy name. Healing thine name is in that. I've healed thy name. Still a part of the whole of me, just in a different room, different vibration. And I can go to it vibrationally if I want to, but I've had enough there, and now I'm ready to create something new that I'm really excited to create. The remembrance of dematerializing and materializing, the remembrance of bilocation, the remembrance of knowing how you can call upon any dimensional threads anytime you want to, when you're in vibrational experience of who you are as source, the song of who you are, the promise of who you are. Spirit said, as you awaken, all will be laid before you. I promise that to you. It's now, are you remembering it? Are you remembering the promise that I had with you, that as you were birthed as light, that you have access to all that is light? Breathe. I remember that I have access to all life. Breathe again. I have access, and remember myself as light. Every cell is being bathed in light right now, and breathe. Every cell, every breath. Every cell, every breath, I'm being bathed by light, and I'm being cleansed of any abnormalities of lack and less than, any stories of density, any stories of being projected less than. I'm sending it away, because now I'm going to own my ownership of me, and I'm worthy. I'm valuable. I'm so special. And I'm absolutely in this vibration. I'm going to allow others to see their value, and I'm going to absolutely attract those that will value me and love me. and nourish me and honor me and place me up high as I place them up high, and care for my heart as I care for theirs. And breathe. And I call forward any lower vibrational energies that are still stuck within my bodies that I've carried because I felt poor about myself or lack of myself. I'm just going to call them forward. I'm calling in light, I'm calling in light, I'm calling in light. And I'm being bathed with light. And I release all densities and just release them away, release them away, release them away. Because open up your heart. Just breathe, open up your heart, you're safe. Open up your heart, open up your heart. Just with intention and breath, I intend to open my heart. And feel your body and feel everything that you are softened. The Holy Mother is holding you. The highest inspiration of the Holy Mother is holding you as a beautiful sacred child and looking at you so in awe. The highest vibration of the heavens are just in awe. That's how the angels see you, in awe. And they shine down upon you and they say, wow, you are so magnificent. You're believing in yourself now. I knew you would. I knew it. We promised you this. We promised that you would wake up. We promised that you would believe in who you are as the magical rainbow, as the indigo child, as your unique vibration, that you're meant to be uniquely you, not to fall into conformity, not to fall into less than and lack, not to be a part of mediocre programs that keep you informing and creating from mediocre experiences. You are meant to experience yourself beyond what was. That is evolution, and you are meant to break out of that box. You are meant to hold yourself high. You are meant to see yourself as the shining elegance that you are of the song. That is evolutionary song of God. The Divine and Holy Mother, Father, Creator. That was another experience that changed within this week of all the clearing and the cleansing that I've been doing, the focusing on my devotion of love and happiness for me. Getting to experience myself as a multidimensional being, being able to dematerialize and materialize and see many dimensional timelines and intend those experiences of love and light and leadership and new promising songs for myself and the planet and the earth and the collectives. And the Holy Creators would like to come forward and speak from all that I am as a beautiful chakra of love and light, the intention of beautiful evolutionary science and song together. Thank you, Spirit. And we see you as such elegance, and we see you as such movement and songs, and each and every one of you to see the source, creator, and the promise within each. For remember that God consciousness is in all things. All things is God consciousness, all things. And as you view one another, and as you perceive one another, as you observe one another, perhaps view the perspective of your unfolding. If you perceive everything, regardless of the challenge that it presents to your observation and what you're feeling about that observation or that challenge or that difficulty, if you were to see the God consciousness within it and around it and all things within it and above it and below it, it is all source creator. It is all God. And as you perceive it that way, rather than the vibrational attitudes and the vibrational judgments of your separateness, but you just choose to simply drop to your heart and see it as a part of the song and honor it as its neutrality, to not affect you, but to absolutely know it as source and love it as the unconditional energy that is source. Unconditional, it's always in awe. Source is always in awe, for it has its own soul plan to explore and to experience itself, and in its own time and pacing and arrangement to awaken itself. So to hold no one in less than, to hold no one in judgment, but to allow the liberation of all that is changing and transitioning. And for are we not this promise and song as the reflections, micro macro notes of our collective? And how we, as we each awaken to our wholeness, as we each awaken to our promise of magnificence and our promise of incredible potentiality, that all of these things are just dropping from the heavens, and these vibrations of energy, wanting to create energy with energy to create matter. There's so much potentiation within the collective because our heart pulsations are saying, we desire higher communion. We desire to know that we are sacred. We desire to create from sacredness. And therefore, those heart pulsations are in the omnipresence saying, we're going to come up with a new healing program. We're going to come up with a new program here and then program there. And all of those awakening and all of those unique gifts get to add their influence, get to add their beautiful gifting and their incredible experience of exploration. And their expression matters. Their expression is valued. Their expression is important. And how are we the leaders of this change? How are we the leaders of the new song? So daily, create that self-care and that devotion for how powerful you are as source. Daily, devote to yourself the new song, the new promise in alignment with source. I am infinite and I am eternal. I'm going to start believing it. Moment for moment, I believe that I am all that my teams show me, all that the collectives are reminding me, all that the heavens bathe and sing us in every day. And it will be matched in equal measure. And the universe will converge around you, and those opportunities will just be there. Because you absolutely know, hand in hand, you walk with Source. Absolutely. And in the vision I had this morning, there was a big, beautiful God hand that was just reaching out to me, and my little tiny baby hand was just pulling me along. I've got you. God's got you. Make no mistake about it. In awe every minute. Celebrating you. And so they're just saying, we celebrate you, Joanna, and joy. And there's big joy bubbles coming from me, just radiating, because you're accepting yourself as that blessing. It's okay. It's okay to be soft. It's okay just to sit in your private, sacred space and say, I'm ready to release these energies and densities within me that are holding me captive to vibrations that are just not me. Wherever they've come from, however they've returned to me. And I'm sending them back because I choose to believe more valued, more treasured, more precious experience, because I am in awe of me. Take a breath. And feel your feet on Gaia. And open up your chakras. Take a breath. And in this opening of your chakras, calling your higher self and your teams to bathe you with the highest light and the highest codes that you are worthy of, so that you awaken in your highest and your best. The power of your new song. The power of your new becoming. The power of your new stretching and pressing out. The power of your new creative inspirations that are being activated because you're asking and you're seeking. The power of your forgiveness and compassion for yourself and all others. And how we see our collective. Can we see and can we envision and can we create a song for our collective that is of unique unity and communion? For our hearts are aching for reestablishment of communion and sacredness. However that will look, we'll discover it and we'll sort it out along the way, where we're having oneness and symbiosis with our planet and feeling the sacred communication and the sacred experiences and the incredible multidimensional experiences that Gaia has offered. We had a class this week about Gaia communion, and there were some incredible multidimensional experiences. We're all being teleshifted to these new experiences and new realms of play based on our soul's intention to create a source. And those soulful intentions allow us to experience the songs and the stories that are held within the grids in the cave of creation, all of our ancestors and all the shamans, inner and outer shamans, the Hathors, all of the collective consciousness beings, the fairies, the flora, the fauna, that are collecting these beautiful stories and re-evolutionizing Gaia along the way. It's a moment for moment evolution, and our unique evolutionary vibration ripples out to the all, the butterfly effect of the all, and how we become greater and bigger and more communing of our sacredness, to seek this sacredness in one another. Even if one might not see it or feel it, but just know, I'm just holding space for you, and I know of your sacredness, and you will find your way. I won't do it for you, and I'm not going to take on the sadness of you, but I'm just going to send you light, and I absolutely know that you will find your way and you will be healed. I see that in you. And that's far greater than feeling the frictions and the separation stories. And that friction might be there, but you can choose to see it and observe it and send it light as one. I now recognize you as a story of one. There's no more friction. I release this story because I've accepted it as a part of my soul's essence. Because I'm all. When you accept it, there's no more friction stories that, those magnetic experiences. Those magnetic experiences occur because there is at some level a repellent experience. That repellent energy just wants it to say, no, you need to recognize me. Okay, well, I recognize you now. And now I'd like you to move on your way so that I can continue moving in my way. And just know of its acceptance and its brilliance and its magnificence without degrading it, without devaluing it. And that's the neutrality, and that's the honor that all political arenas will move within, that all is light, all is God, all is the one presence of Source Creator. So they were showing me this morning, the seed of the consciousness and the God that is love and light in all things. This is from the Councils of Light. And so from the heavens, we are living and breathing and creating with you, which is totally true, because I've been feeling that as I've been clearing out more and more densities at the cellular level, at the physiological level, at the fields and the subtle levels. I mean, there's so many layers and levels to us, and the stories that we've all carried for so long, for all many collectives. What versions of Earth and what stories and vibrations are you holding yourself within and your collective within? Are you knowing of your collective for its highest vibrational healing? Do you see and do you feel the love and the compassion in your collective? And can you just feel the intention every day, as a few times a day? I see the brilliance in my collective. We are healing as a collective, and we will never carry another virus. I see the brilliance in my collective. We're going to come up with incredible inventiveness where we're going to allow each other to move through and be boundaryless. We're going to move freely because we respect and we honor one another. There will be no war. I see this in my collective and I know it. I'm going to inspire the heart song and the promise of whose source is and all. Because I know it. I know it. I absolutely know it. I've experienced so many miracles. I absolutely know without a doubt. And it's okay if others are in their own space of their own knowing. It's absolutely meant to be that way. And so how can we inspire this as the political leaders, if you will, political leaders that have the highest and the best interests to not create division, but to actually inspire unity and communion, that we are a part of the galactic and cosmic family. And so how can we just be open with it and we just be transparent with it and we absolutely start creating unity because it begins on the ground. That's why we've been called ground workers. We're here to bring forth the light from the grids, to bring forth the light from the hearts of who we are as the cellular micro macro source. There is a song happening, people. I'm in alignment of the song that is source. I am in alignment of the song that is source, that I am one with all things. And I give myself a promise from here on out. I will devote to my happiness. I will devote to how I feel and how I vibrate. And I create stories of projecting to see my earth at the highest potential of happiness and joy and love and light. And the song that source is in all things, I can see it, I can hear it, I can sense it. And I see the healing of God in all people. And source, creator, and spirit is just blessing every person with love and light. And all of the little wars and all of the little challenges and all of the little friction stories, they will be bathed in the knowingness that all will be well. And all will be sorted in the respect and the honor of all. For we walk with the heavens, every step, every breath. We are co-creating the heavens. If we so choose, it's always free will. And so they were saying, when morals and ethics and values are tested and challenged and broken apart, and those are those tower moments, because the stories that you had built around the values and the morals and your standards about who you thought you were, what you were told you were, what the community was, what you thought the community was, what the household was, what your families were, and all of those things that we were all brought up in, it was like shattering the world that you thought. And now you get to create a new. So when all those are tested, what do you return to? Return to within. Because that's where your greatest story is. That's where your promise is. This is who I choose to be. I'm a magnificent song, and I'm just going to tune in. What is Spirit today showing me and telling me? Who am I today? Does this feel good for me? What can I discern for myself? So I can start calling in those discernments vibrationally. How do I feel? Because that's the reality I'm creating. And I'm allowing, as I'm being cleared right now, I'm allowing all others to have their story in perfect allowance. I allow you, the law of allowance. Just allow everything to be bathed with God. Resist nothing. If you're feeling those friction stories, go within and suss out, why is that a friction story? Why am I feeling this? And your teams will show you, because that's not a vibrational match for you. Accept it, honor it, and move on. You don't have to keep trying to make something work and make it right, because your version of right is not their version of right. But you can still accept it as oneness and continue creating in your version of reality. And honor it all. That's you. It's a version of you that you're saying, yeah, I can get you. Thank you so much. Wow. I get you. I've been there. And now I'm here. And now I'm going to go here. You know, and just be free and liberated with how everybody moves. Right? Release all energies of control that anyone thinks they may have over anybody else. Because it's an absolute illusion. And this is how everything will be transformed. Where are the stories of control and fear that pop up for you every day? And what is the real promise within that fear story? The promise is that Source says you will experience stories that are illusory. And whose projections and whose stories are those? Well, I'm healing something for the collective that says divine feminine or this way and that way. And I've seen it here, here, and here. And I've learned the story from there, there, and there. But this is how I really want to be here, here, and here. So suss it out, work it out. And anything that wants to get shoved under the carpet, and if that is certain energies and circles and work environments and things that want to continue that way, then you have the moral and ethical truth and light within who you are to create your new higher vibrational story. And be okay with it. Walk with it. Yeah, I create this story for myself, and now I'm going to be able to sleep at night. You know, because if it's not a vibrational match with your story and your values, your vibrational value might be to have a peaceful, harmonious home that's filled with positivity and acceptance of one another. And if there's energies coming and going that are not in that vibrational acceptance, this is my sacred environment. How are you contributing to it? You know, if it's been a joint experience and you want to contribute to this sacred environment, what sacred energy are you bringing? It's not just a one person creates it all. No, every person has to contribute. And if not, then everybody has the right to move freely and liberated to experience what they want to explore. That's okay. But you have the right to say, no, this is my sacred environment. Who's going to be with me to contribute? What do you all have to offer? Because I'm now rising my vibration and this is how I want to co-create. So who's with me? How do you want to co-create together? How can we make compromise? How can we work things out? How can we suss it out? How can we transition so that everybody is respected, everyone's honored, everyone is valued, and everyone has equal measure of giving and receiving? Not one person always doing the work, not one person always raising the standards and values and morals. Each person has to want to contribute to that evolutionary foundation, because we're all rebuilding our foundations now. The tree of life is all. It's all. So are we aligning with the foundations that are within the light programs of what you choose is right for you, morally, values, in your respect of who you are as spirit? Because we are all evolving spirit and it will continue to change. And so allow yourself that devotion. How am I devoting to my happiness today, within and without, as above, so below? How am I perceiving myself as the micro macro song of perfection, of awe? How can I be in awe of me today? Well, I'm going to experience myself. I'm going to say everything positive today about me. Wow, I love the way that my teeth and my hair look today, and I'm just so pretty, and I'm just so, wow, I'm allowing my voice to be heard today by myself, because I know that as I'm talking to myself around the house, my cells are listening. And I love the beauty of me and the awe of me, because I'm rich in spirit, and I'm allowing my spirit to shine from within, and I'm allowing myself to take greater care and love of myself and honor of myself. And I feel really good about honoring myself, and I'm going to take a breath right now. And I'm going to soak within this new song that Source is creating for me. Because as I see things in my outer reality go through challenge and upset and chaos, I know that right now, in my now moment of knowing of Source in all things, of trusting the unfolding of my life, of trusting the intuitions my spirit is sending me, that I am self-directed in the most incredible experience where I have purpose and value, and I'm constantly evolving in this. That's my promise to me, that I will always hold my promise and my value to me high. Never compromise my light. Never compromise the integrity of my light. Never hold myself short just to, there's a beautiful line in one of my favorite songs, infinite glittering prizes and infinite compromises. How do we compromise who we are for the 3D stories that we were told that were important? They're not important anymore. Because we really want to connect at a sacred level, and that's why things are breaking up, to just put down the petty, swords and the battles. Just put it down. See one another as your brother and your sister, because they are fragments of you. Of the stories where you held yourself short, stories where you held yourself limited or subjugated or belonging or entitled to something or someone, and you're not. You're absolutely liberated and you're absolutely free. No one has entitlement to you. No one has entitlement over you. No one has bondage to you. No one has bondage within or without you. No one, not one thing, no species. None. Free will. You are infinite aspects of individual life potentiation of Source Creator. And so if there's stories going on there where you feel the obligation or the guilt or the shame, then you can just choose to release those energies that are being projected at you, because you're not. You are a sovereign being of infinite light, and allow others to create their life and their success while you create yours, and release all cords and attachments and energies that hold you to any stories of less than, or in obligation or responsibility for anybody else's happiness, or anybody else's wonderment, or anybody else's benevolence, or anybody else's abundance. They are responsible for themselves and their reality and their health and their wellness and their abundance. And release the stories that want to project those to you, because you can. I choose to release this energy vibration. I am not responsible for anybody but me. And I will care, and I will radiate, and I will emulate, and I will hold everybody up high so that all versions are expressed and experienced and explored. And I get to choose what I want to dance within, because I get to choose now. And I want this world to be a really great world, and I want to bring as much light as possible, because I know I'm here to do that. And you get to celebrate and honor yourself by the sovereign knowing of who you are. So practice sovereignty every day. What is right for me and feeling right? Really tune into how you feel as a sovereign spiritual being. That's your song. That's the promise that Source gave you. As Christic beings, we were promised to experience sovereignty as the sacred geometry of light, to ever call in light, to have that ability to be the processing of ever greater light. And that ever greater light, light begets light begets light, in the DNA and all the access of you as a multidimensional being, you press out to greater light because you're activating within you. You are infinite soul light. And then that ripples out to all other aspects of your soul that you belong with. Therefore, again, you access those gifts and those skills. And through the challenges of all that we've created and all the stories, bless them and honor them. They're reflections of us. Own it. Say, wow, you're so amazing. Thank you. I'm so glad I met you. Because your experience of me, you're God. And now I'm going to let the story go without, there's no more friction there anymore. I'm not being triggered anymore. I'm really passionate about what I can create now. And it's you and you tell releasing those triggers when they just hold more excitement to get going. And you're really letting it go and letting it be transmuted. And let go, release and let go, give yourself permission. And especially as mothers and as healers, we've come with those encodings to releasing the responsibility, because that's also a mastery level of participation in new realms. Because you're not responsible for anybody. You're not responsible for anybody's healing. You're not responsible for anyone's happiness in life. Allow them. My teams have said that more often than not. Allow them their experience. They've come here for that experience of limitation so that they know how to transcend out of it. You can't fix it, and you can want and intend the most beautiful world for your children, but you need to allow them the experience of limitation, because that's what they've come to experience. And explore limitation and explore the ways that their bodies move through density, the ways that they move through densities of different friendships and different limitations and lack and abuse, so that they know how to transcend it and heal it. And we can also still continue to want that promise and to live and feed and focus and direct our energies to the promises, because those are changing and evolutionary every day. Every day we're creating new vibrational timelines that are just incredible, because we're seeing it as better. And even though we might not have the individual potentiations, because our minds have not yet tabulated what a 5D reality looks like and feels like, but we can feed into the momentum, we can feed into the anticipation, we can feed into the excitement, we can feed vibrationally into the incredible array of incredibleness that's waiting for it. We can create that awe and just feed into that awe and feed into that awe and feed into that awe. And that's the promise where your reality is being built. And you're letting go of those ones that no longer trigger you anymore, but you know they're a door in your house and you can always return to it. There's always that access. And so when your reality is falling apart and breaking and you're tested to go further and deeper within you, what are your values and what are your ethics? What is right for you now that you're leveling up? Because at every new level of your expansiveness, you're going to be asked to review as a micro, macro, cellular experience of the song, of the promise that you are with source. Remember, you are the ever pressing out and the ever harmonizing of greater vibrational songs. The ever pressing out of the light that you've now just tabulated is going to connect with other vibrational light of omnipresence. And in these tabulations, Source Creator knows we don't have to know the minutiae of Source, the plans in the divine mind. Those of us that are creators, we have the inspirations that we're meant to have to build in different ways, in different realms, based on the collective wants and needs, the collective timelines, the information, the wisdoms, the excitements, and all of those. I mean, there's infinite number of things that go into what I'm talking about. And it's my most excited thing that I can express and teach, because that's the elegance that so many people miss because they're still awake to the elegance that is life. And that's okay. But there's those of us that are here to inspire it. There's those of us to say there's far more going on than you understand. So when you let go of one of your traumas or one of your dilemmas, you absolutely know that you are creating profundity that uplifts the whole timeline. And then a whole bunch of other stuff comes in for those that are ready to awaken and tap into new gifts, because they remember to dematerialize and then not to. And wow, you just did that. Wow, let me show you. I can do that too. And then it inspires evolution. The cell begets cells of higher light, as within, so above. And it's that micro macro we're talking about. So as you amp up and level up to your new potentiation of who you are as spirit, you want to also stretch out and say, well, how can I explore these different new ethical experiences for me? You know, how can I explore oneness more? Because really, what is ethics? Who is ethics based on? Whose stories and what philosophy have we based this on? And what philosophy can I challenge? What philosophy can I change for me? This is what we're meant to do. We're meant to challenge and question and discern, not protest it, but discern. Does it feel right for me? What does it feel right for me? And this is how I'm going to play, and be okay. Have that light fluid. I'm going to play. No friction protest. Because then you're still holding it in separation and lack of acceptance. I won't accept that. Yes, accept it. It's part of the all. It's part of God. Accept it. Be happy. Accept it. How can I accept this? Okay. Well, that felt really difficult to accept. And then you just suss it out. Okay. Well, I'm going to hold myself in all things as light, because that's the story, that's the song, right? That's the song of God. It requires it. You can't have any amount of color without the vibrational color next to it to show it of its depth, of its richness, of its extractions, of varying gradations. We require it. That's the promise that Source came and said, you will be here. There will be many things and many truthful experiences of your soul that you get to choose as a sovereign being. You won't remember you're sovereign. You're going to be put into stories that are very limiting. Can you remember yourself and break out of that limitation and say, I have a promise just for you. Your promise for you is like no other promise. Your song is like no other song. And therefore, if you return within and you direct who you are as Source, as Spirit, as the most excitement of awe, of beauty that you are as Spirit, you start creating and you start bringing forward your most highest creative gifts. You say, wow, this is so unique. It's not done out there yet, but I can create something from nothing, and I will. That's my promise. And my free will and my action and my motivation and all that I am as Spirit will just bring it all together, because that's the magic of alchemy. That's majesty, and it's a pure-hearted experience. And as you can tell from all of our offerings today, none of it has to do with ego. It's not about the ego saying, well, this is, I want to create this. And ego is a part of it. Ego is like the gas. It's like the tool. Your spirit is always your gas that fills you up and expands you as spirit. But your ego is like the gas. The ego will get you from A to B to put the gas in the car. It will say, we've got to get gas now. That's what the ego is meant to be, as a tool for manifestation. So honor it. And then say, okay, I'm surrendering to Spirit, because Spirit's got big plans for me, and I'm going to be on every note of that song. Make no mistake about it, I'm riding that wave. I earned it. I earned it. I'm going to be on every note of that wave, and I'm creating the orchestra. Make no mistake about it. My songs are rich, and the heavens will awaken. And when the heavens awaken, that heavenly song will be bathed our planet in the most richness that we had forgotten, that we are the elegance of Source. And that song will connect that other song and that thread, and we'll awaken and be pulled into new realms of delight and harmonics and sound and song and tones and light language and all that we are as magnificent beings. And we will be the becoming into a galactic family that is always with us and always cheering us on in all moments, that we just somehow have forgotten that we belong. And we're here to anchor that belonging. And so when anything is unfolding in our reality, soften into it. What do I feel about that now? What do I want to be a part of infusing light into now? How can I be a part of that healing and mending? How can I be a part of that healing and mending? How can I be a part of accepting and allowing? Can I feel my heart rich right now? Take a breath. Take a breath and soften. I call in Source Creator, call in my soul, I call in my higher self and all of the angels and all the ascended masters and everything that is Gaia consciousness, because I want to feel myself whole. And take a breath. I want to see myself bathed in white light. I want to see myself bathed in the divine archangel protection and light that I need, so that I'm not affected while I work through this vulnerability, while I work through this aching in my heart. I want to be shown the deeper richness of who I am. And take a breath. I'm rich and I'm in awe. I'm so very treasured. Source loves me so much. Take a breath. Feel your richness. Feel it. Feel it. Go deeper. Soften. Source loves you. You're like a perfect child. Source loves you. Take a breath. You're meant to be here. You're meant to be here. Take a breath. Your song is so beautiful. And when you shine, and when you dance, and when you sing, and when you act your beautiful, whimsical self, the birds sing with you. And Spirit will place synchronicities and dreams and wisdoms and intelligence and little blessings and little gifts everywhere for you. Take a breath and soften one more time. And open your heart to feel Source. I feel Source. I feel Source. I'm being led to new creational stories. And when you feel your insides just shake, the love is going into every aspect that was held so crunched, so blocked. Soften. Just soften. Feel love. The most powerful heart is so very soft. And all creation sings with you. That's your song. Give yourself permission. I give myself permission to be in awe of who I am today. I am the promise of Source and the promise of my soul to release all limitations, negativities. I allow myself to rewrite a new story, to rewrite a new version of health and wellness and a new connection of all my guides and all my spirit and all that is the song of Source Creator. For there is a harmonic song for Earth, and I see Earth as healed. I see it, my collective is healed. I see new vibrational experiences for the medical and educational systems, and all is valid, all is real. I come into the acceptance vibration. And breathe. Today I choose to be aware of allowance, so that I am open as a vessel of light. I allow myself as the vessel of light. All is perfect. I choose to release all fears, because I know I'm going to be brought beautiful stories of perfection. That's my promise. I promise myself love today. And if nobody shows it to me, that's okay, because I promise myself love today. Because you know that you have a legion of beings that are with you in every moment, just in awe of you. Creation is in awe of you. Awaken the earth, dear lighted ones. Awaken the earth. Start seeding a garden that is beautiful for you, where the plants and the flowers sing to you, and the gnomes and the fairies speak with you. And we commune in such a sacred way, and we create new values and pulsations from our creative collective. And we create realms out of nowhere. And all that is the elegance of nature sings with us and dances with us. And we pop in and we pop out of dimensional realities because we're meant to be there just for that second. Breathe in. Soften deeper, soften deeper, soften deeper, and let it go. Breathe in love. And hold the love into your heart. Hold love. You're bathed. Do you feel yourself being bathed? And breathe. And all the timelines are being bathed with love. Bathed with beautiful elegance of love. See yourself as magnificent. See yourself as the beautiful bouquet that you are. You're gorgeous. God is in awe of you. You are a dream come true to God. Make no mistake about it. You're magnificent. You've got great things to do here, child. And trust who you are and trust what you feel. Feel your way through life. How do you feel? And own it and honor it and keep moving forward in that feeling vibration. And we'll do an activation. Just keep your hearts open and receive. Keep your hearts open and receive. And we call forward the highest galactic federations and the galaxies of light and the light councils and the angels and the ascended masters and the Gaia consciousness for all the souls attending now and future now moments, for the benevolent activations of light language and the sacred song that is love, that is light, that is our communion of greatness. And opening to the greatness of all that we are, and opening to the promise of all that we are, to greater evolutionary selves, greater evolutionary knowings, greater evolutionary surrenderings of allowance. Thank you, Spirit. I am a makata case. I am a makata. Eh. Usi, I am a makata case. I am more. I am a case. I am a makai. I am a makata. Hi, I am a makata dish. I am a makata. Hi, I Paying homage to the ancestors that carry us through timelines. Also bring gratitude and appreciation to every spirit that's holding you and caressing you through these changes and challenges, and just call upon them. And I honor you, and I give great gratitude to all ancestors that carry us through great challenges and really prevent many energies from touching our hearts through these great times of shifts and change. For they know who you are, and they know your song and vibration. So honor and appreciate all that is life. Promise all that is life to be sacred, for it's you. Promise those new vibrations of love and unconditional awness that is Source Creator. We love you so much. For those of you that would like to join our class tomorrow, the link is below. Just send $22 minimum for our link for our Ascension classes. And we're going to talk about more of honoring the epicenter of light, honoring yourself as the valued treasure of who you are, honoring all that you are as the potential of Source Creator to be redirected and self-directed back to you, and create your new dimensional reality where you pulsate a new vibration of song to creation, and you awaken the grids, and you awaken all that is meant to be awakened through your sacred song of oneness. And we honor you and love you so much. We love you, we love you, we love you. And we hope you have a beautiful day of recreating, reflecting upon and reviewing what your promise is, what souls and your source promise is for you, to live in your highest light of appreciation and value for you to have fun being you, for you to explore being you, and for you to experience yourself anew in all moments. And you're doing such great work, and you're doing such incredible dynamic clearing for the collective and for your family. So let go of pettiness in every moment that you can. Let go of the stories, let go of guilt and obligation and blame, and see and perceive yourself from an open vibrational reality where we all allow one another greater, higher, sacred communion with all that is life. That is our oneness, respecting and honoring all that is sacred, for it is. It's all source. So see it all as source. Feel it all as source. That is evolutionary change. Make no mistake about that. And Gaia feels every moment and every breath and every step. We love you, dear little ones. Namaste. Bye.